This is our paranormal podcast because this is our paranormal community, and we want to support you here on RU Media Network. We are proud to be sponsored by the Haunted Hinsdale House in Hinsdale, New York. Here are your hosts, Brian Mersall and Sean Gilmore.
Oh, see, I am like way off my game, like always. Welcome everybody to our paranormal podcast. This is a very special episode. We normally only do shows every other week, but it's our second week in a row because we have a special guest this week, a good friend of mine, Mike Ricksecker. So you guys are gonna have to deal with this.
You are off your game.
I can't talk. My voice is bad. I can't think straight. And I don't know. But hey, the good news is we still started before 7:05, so that means we're on a good start for the day.
That's big.
I think so. I mean, normally we have people. I think there are people who are just like used to us, maybe starting late. So I'm sure more and more people will be joining on with us today. But guys, I'm sure Mike, this is what, your third or fourth time coming on?
I have no idea. It's been a few times.
It's been a few times. You are our first ever guest back in
That's
the day when we
right.
first started the podcast.
Yeah.
And man, was that a mess. If you thought tonight was a mess, tonight looks like a cakewalk compared to that night. I don't know if you remember that. But man, it's good to catch up though.
It's been too long.
It's been way too long, and you've done so much since you've last been on. Can you just kind of help catch us up on your projects that you've worked on? Because you've been to Egypt, you've been to Ireland, you're doing tours. I mean, you have branched out in so many ways.
Yeah, going back to Egypt here in less than a week. So, Saturday morning, we've taken off. So that's awesome. And we are going to be doing another Egypt tour next year. It's just in preliminary stages, so we don't have the registration set up for that yet. When I'm out there here next week, that's something Mohammed and I will sit down, and Mohammed Ibrahim will sit down and go over that, because he's the basically it's his tour company out there.
Okay.
But he always does an amazing job. You know, he's been doing the tours out there for over 20 years. He is an Egyptologist. He specializes in hieroglyphs. So, and since he knows everybody, we get like special access into areas, and it's kind of cool. Every once in a while, hey, come over here, and we'll sneak around some area. So that's fun, and that's coming up next week.
Nice.
Yeah. So. Yeah, a lot of stuff like with the Alaska Triangle. We have that cruise coming up here. As far as like the books, that was the latest book, Alaska's Mysterious Triangle. And I've done a lot more with television here lately. Some episodes here on Ancient Aliens 2, which have aired so far. One was last season on the Shadow People. This year is UFO Hotspots, and then I got a couple other episodes that will air here within the next several weeks. And then been doing more with Gaia TV as well. So I was got to sit down with George Noory there for a while, and Regina Meredith, and just kind of talk about, we talked about Alaska, we talked about shadow entities. Those are kind of like the two main things people bring me out for. But we talked about a lot of different things, like energy, resonance, vibration, how the way the Earth's energy grid works, our connection to the cosmos, all that fun stuff.
And so your work with the shadow people and all of your studies and researches really taught you a lot of different things about how there's so many different types of entities that we could be dealing with. And that's like one of the things that I find most interesting about the show that you put together and with your book here.
The Shadow Dimension.
Right. The Shadow Dimension, which is excellent, guys. If you love docuseries, Mike did a fantastic job with it. I felt like I was watching like the documentaries that got me into watching documentaries. So it's like going back to like the roots of what a documentary really should be like, and it's so informational, and it keeps you glued to the TV set, man.
Thanks. Yeah, and that was kind of the idea. Yeah, right now the Shadow Dimension is running on Tubi TV and Roku TV, or the Roku channel just started running it a few days ago. So those are the two big places to go watch it. But yeah, that was kind of the idea. I wanted it. I wanted to, be kind of a mix, kind of a crossover where you had the documentary style, where we're sitting down, we're talking about a lot of this different types of phenomena, but also engage the viewer in the investigation part of it. We're going to the Conjuring House, we're going to Mineral Springs Hotel in Alton, Illinois, and so you get that part of it too. But then sit down with like Carl Johnson, and had Alexandra Holzer, provide her insight into it, and other people bringing in like esoteric research, like Johnny Enoch. Mary Marshall was a part of it. So we had a lot of great people provide their inputs. Psychic explorer Mark Anthony, which was just really nice to get like this really colorful blend of different ideas and perspectives on shadow phenomena, what it could be, all the different possibilities of what it can be. And Mark provides a really great snippet in there, really great quote, where he says, we may be dealing with several different entities using the same or similar energetic modality to enter into our world. So, and that would be, the shadow and coming in via that way.
And it really does kind of make a lot of sense to me. I mean, even if you get into like the alien aspect of all that, I've always kind of felt like we're like out of place on Earth. So, I mean, who knows, really? I mean, there's so many different ideas and so many different theories out there. It's just so to have that be a possibility. Like,
oh yeah, they can certainly be extraterrestrials. A couple different aspects here. So one, if they're visiting us via a physical craft, it could very well be that they're coming down here trying to cloak themselves so that we don't see them, but not fully understanding the physiology of our eyes. Their cloaking device comes off to us as some sort of shadow. But there's other ways that they could be accessing here as well. So one could be some sort of interdimensional travel, if they know how to utilize things like portals and stargates and things like that to travel across the universe, or the Einstein-Rosen bridge. When they travel here, how does that look like when they come here? Or an advanced civilization that's been around far longer than us may have really mastered the art of astral projection, and so they could be projecting their consciousness here to Earth. And again, how does, when their energy and their consciousness enters into our world, how does that look like to us? Does it look like a shadow? Does it look like, some people report seeing like a shimmer type person, that sort of thing? Is that what it looks like?
When you have all that kind of input, like a lot of people, when they go on just like regular paranormal investigations, they'll be out there just assuming that things are either ghosts or maybe demons. But when you have so many different things that it can be, like when you go on an investigation, like how do you even begin to decipher or try and narrow it down?
You have to do many investigations. Just going out to a location once and seeing a shadow dart across the room, that's not enough information. It's an experience. You can gauge what was going on at the location at the time. What was the weather, what was the barometric pressure, things like that. What were the different parameters going on there to perhaps manifest this? Was there a storm that evening, like when we saw at Mineral Springs Hotel, where we saw the little girl morph out of the apparition morph out of the rolling black smoke into an apparition? There had been a storm earlier that night over the river. So did that charge up the area? So you have to kind of look at all of those different things, see if you can come back on a similar evening, replicate the same sort of activity. This may be also where some EVP work comes into play. Are you able to strike up a conversation, maybe get some information that way with it? Very rarely can you, after one investigation of a location, sit there and say, oh yeah, we experienced this, and this is exactly what it was. And you usually have to go back again and again and again to really, break down what it is you're experiencing there.
So when you see those teams that maybe go to a place once or twice and they're saying this is exactly what it is, or it's a ghost here or a demon here or anything, and you know that there's just so many different like possibilities, how do you, I guess, digest that kind of content, like personally?
I mean, personally, I kind of have to take everything at the beginning with a grain of salt. I mean, I won't deny somebody's experience. Okay, this is what they experienced. This is what happened to them. I would have to really examine if they said, what we experienced there was, the human spirit of Aunt Ethel there. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the evidence that you put together to define that this was Aunt Ethel? It very well could have been. It also could have been Uncle Jack, or it could have been, some sort of time slip that, maybe it wasn't the actual spirit of, the person there, but it could actually just be, where you get a glimpse of another moment in time. We see those things happen too. So you really have to, kind of pay attention to the little details and other things like, okay, demon. Those are few and far between. They do happen, they do manifest. But I've had people contact me and say, what do I do? I have a demon in my house. And it's like, okay, take a step back.
Yeah.
Why do you think you have a demon in your house? Well, candle flew off the mantle. Okay, that doesn't mean you have a demon. So let's back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And see. Unfortunately, with a lot of our television shows these days, for paranormal investigative paranormal shows, going down the demon route where everything is a demon.
Yeah.
That makes the average viewer think, oh, demons are all over the place. So
Right.
if I have that object that falls in my house, I must have a demon now. But that's really, it's few and far between. I had Carl Johnson on my show. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years now. And a couple of years ago, when we had him on to talk about the shadow dimension, I asked him, I was like, Carl, this is your specialty. This is what people go to you for. When you do paranormal investigations, usually it's to investigate whether or not it's a demon. So when was the last demon case that you actually worked on, that you designated this is a demonic manifestation? And he said, Mike, it was that investigation that you and I did when we filmed for The Haunted in Edmond, Oklahoma. And guys, that was back in 2010.
Wow.
So here's a guy, this is his specialty. This is what people go to him for. These are the type of cases he works on. And it was back in 2010, the last one that he actually deemed was demonic. So these are few and far between.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And that was like one of the things that when I was doing documentaries and everything, that was one of the things I wanted to show. It's like the paranormal isn't necessarily as scary as everyone seems to think it is, or it's not as scary as certain religions or entertainments might show. So it really is. Usually it's human spirits, and if it's something angry, well, a lot of times we can bridge that communication gap and help that spirit that's angry. Maybe not help with crossing over, but at least maybe helping bridge, like I said, the communication gap and helping just the overall situation, so everyone just has a better understanding.
Yeah, and you have to also keep in mind that a person who was a jerk in life is probably also going to be a jerk in death. So you might have some sort of malicious or nefarious activity going on within the home or within whatever the location is, but that doesn't mean it's demonic. You could just have a ticked off human spirit that's getting agitated and doing things. And with that Edmond case, that Edmond, Oklahoma case, that was one of the things that we worked hard to try to get at the root of. Initially we were thinking, because there was the primary part of the house where a lot of the manifestations were happening were in a bedroom where there was a confirmed suicide, that the original homeowner's father had taken his life in that room. He had become very depressed and despondent. He had been sick, was out of work, that sort of thing, eventually took his life. So, okay, was it him? Was he so ticked off with his situation in life that he was going to be hanging out there and creating a disturbance. And so, we conducted many, many investigations to see, if that was the case, or perhaps if it wasn't, was it something associated with the land, long before, that family moved in there, because there were other things that happened in the ensuing years to other people within the house. So, once we kind of eliminated the fact that, okay, it was not this guy, it wasn't these other people, that's when we started to question, was it something to do with the land or some sort of spiritual force or entity associated with the land? And that's where Carl came into play.
That's that's why I keep on going back to the Hinsdale house and the Monroe house, actually, is to try and figure that out. And to have somebody like that to help you out is just, it's got to be amazing.
Yeah. And, when you watch that episode, it was Animal Planet's The Haunted, and the episode was called Monster in the Closet. They make it look like, half the show is the family telling their story, which is fine. Then, when they got to the storytelling part of, they finally got together and, determined that, this has been going on in their house for X number of years. They reached out to, our paranormal team, and we came in and investigated. And basically, they made it look like we investigated there one time and deduced it's demonic. Let's get Carl out there. And I understand they only have so much time to be able to tell the story. But it's those kind of things that, that makes the average viewer believe that, oh, okay, the ghost team goes in there, they got some gadgets, they were able to determine, boom, this is a demon, and then they go and cleanse the thing. Where we had investigated there, several times over a number of months. We would have big full investigations, and then at other times, we'd make, small house calls, on the way home from work or whatever. Sometimes just, see, okay, what's going on with the family? What other information, have we been able to dig up? So it was a lot that we did in those months leading up to filming the cleansing. But, the average viewer just gets that little bit of, oh, okay, they came in and boom, they immediately assessed it was a demon. No.
Right.
It's the things they leave out.
There's a lot that they leave out, right? And that makes it harder even for us investigators too, because we go in and we want to try and help somebody in their home or in their business, and they think we can go and be there one time for a couple hours and we can give them all the answers that they're looking for, and it's just not that simple, and it's because those shows, but they're very restricted when they're making shows, so they can't. There's no possible way to fit all of that information into one show. And that's what I like about your series, because you kind of keep on the same subject and you grow off of it, and it's just so much more to learn. And that's, again, here, I pulled up an image this time. The Shadow Dimension.
Yep. Now streaming on Roku channel. Yeah. That was kind of the idea. I mean, the investigative part of that series, and season 2, we're doing Hinsdale. Shawn, you're part of that.
Yeah.
And the investigative part of it is by no means to say, this is exactly, what's going on here. This or like, this is, the investigation that defined everything that's going on here. The investigations are more of like an example. We have the storytelling aspect of, here's the location. This is the energy people have experienced there. And that's really what it is. It's not just, the ghosts and people seeing shadows. It's asking the question, how are these things manifesting? So the locations that we've picked are locations that have like reported portal activity or energy that has been really significantly tied to the land, like Hinsdale. And, is it that energy that is helping to manifest this type of phenomena? Is it manifesting the shadow phenomena? Are they coming through some sort of portal, or are they traveling interdimensionally here through that energy? So like with the Conjuring house, one of the fascinating things about that was, sure, I'd heard the stories, over the years. Andrea has been a dear friend of mine for a long, long time. Have her books, read through all of those. And of course, the house has been featured on some of the different television shows. So, I'm not going to break any ground by, just, hey, we're going to go in there with some cameras and run an investigation. Although we do have some of that, Carl and I doing some things there. It was more of, okay, let's examine the house. Let's talk about the activity that has happened there over hundreds of years, and then see if we can make some sense to the energy and try to connect the dots. So that's why I have the whole connected universe things, because we're trying to connect the dots here. And I think we achieved that in part, like with the Conjuring house there, because of that well room. I'd heard, okay, there's the stories of the basement, the different things that had happened there, the woman that got friendly with Roger down there, and I'd heard of things being seen and happening around the well down there. But actually going inside there and seeing the construction of it, you have this open hole into the ground. There's water in the bottom of that well, so it's still there. It's wide open. You have a room that is constructed of limestone walls capped with granite blocks. Now, again, I've been out to Egypt. I've seen the way that the ancients constructed their sites of power and what they used to harness that energy from the earth. And I saw it right there in a very, very small form at the Conjuring house. And it was like light bulbs just went off. Like, oh, this makes so much sense. And you're looking straight up and assessing, okay, a lot of the more significant things that have happened within this house, the things have happened all over the house, but some of the more significant things were straight up from this room. And then I had an experience straight up from that well room later on that day. So yeah, it was trying to connect those dots together.
And with that, the pyramids, you had touched a little bit on your show about the pyramids here in the States, the one in Illinois.
Yeah, Cahokia. Yep.
Yes. And that, I was like, man, I'm so glad you brought that up, because like not so many people don't realize the civilizations that were here before the Europeans came. And
when Cahokia was in its glory, the amount of people that were living there at that time was greater than the number of people that were living in London at the same exact time. It was a bigger civilization than England had at that time, which is hard to fathom. You don't really think about it, because we tend to think that the Europeans were so sophisticated and had these big cities and everything, and the Native Americans, well, they had teepees and wigwams, and so, no, they actually had a pretty significant civilization there. Yeah, that Cahokia Monk's Mound is the largest pyramid north of Mesoamerica. I mean, once you get down into like Teotihuacan and places like that, and you have some bigger pyramids, but north of that area, this is the biggest one. And we had some pretty significant mound builders, and this was interesting. So I was just in Ireland this past summer, and we went to Grange Stone Circle, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, this is not just a stone circle like Drombeg that we'd gone to earlier on that trip. You just had the standing stones, which actually had a significant amount of energy, and when you stand right in the middle, it's really bizarre, the type of energy you can feel. And just when you talk, you can hear the reverberation. It's wild. But it was just the stone circle. Well, I was there at Grange, which is actually the largest stone circle there in Ireland. But the way that is constructed, it's a hinge. It is an earthen mound hinge with the standing stones inside of it. And I'm looking at that. Have you guys been to the Great Circle Earthworks there in Newark, Ohio?
I have not.
Okay, it's a massive earthen circle there. They say that the Hopewell culture built it, thousands of years ago. And the only reason why it's called Hopewell, we don't know what they called themselves, is the guy's last name that discovered all this was named Hopewell, so they call it the Hopewell culture.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and there's all these other earthen structures that are around there, like there's an octagon there and all these other things. It's part of a golf course, and they're actually looking to kick out the golf course so they can actually restore the rest of it back to its former glory.
Makes
But
sense.
I'm looking at that, Grange there in Ireland, and I'm looking at the way that the earthwork is constructed. I'm like, I've seen this on a much, much larger scale in America, in Ohio.
Yeah.
like it's that thing is massive. What they call the Great Circle earthwork, and right in the middle of it is a mound. They call it Eagle Mound only because it's kind of shaped that way, and they have no idea what it was used for. They assume some sort of ritual or whatever. I went out there with my drone a few years back. Actually, Shawn, I went out there with my drone. We did Old Licking County Jail. It was during the day. I went to Great Circle Earthworks because it's pretty much right down the road, same town. And I went out there with my drone from the middle of Eagle Mound, put it straight up. I had just fully charged the thing. And it was like up there a minute and a half. I'm getting, some photos and trying to take a little video, and it's yelling at me, battery is low.
And it's
It
fully
drained my
charged.
battery. It had been fully charged, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
You ever had that happen at any other place, or just?
I've on Paranormal Investigations. Sometimes you have experienced battery drain at different locations, but I did not expect that there.
But that fast?
Yeah, it was that fast. That fast.
Here, real quick, I found this so everyone can kind of have a image on the locations.
There you go.
Yeah, it is a really neat place. I have heard of it. I just haven't made it there yet. But it is. Oh, there's so much in the Hopewell. There's mounds up here in northeastern Ohio that they labeled as Hopewell, and unfortunately, a lot of them up here in northeastern Ohio have been destroyed. There was no respect at all, and it's really, really sad. And
yeah, they tilled it under for farmland, is what happened, and they were allowed to do it because at the time, the Smithsonian had deemed anything that was pre-Columbian, so before Christopher Columbus, was heathen. So go ahead and destroy it if you need to.
Right.
Yeah, which was terrible. So fortunately, the Smithsonian no longer takes that stance, but the damage was already done.
The damage is done. Yeah,
definitely. And that's why we have places like, I think, Hinsdale House, because that place, the energy there, it's insane. And I think it's mostly the land there. I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. And did I ever share with you the clip from when we were there, when I put that static camera facing up the hill? Because we got a really interesting.
You guys went to the Hinsdale House?
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, bro.
You were there, Brian.
Right?
I'm just kidding.
So, we got this really weird noise. I'll send you the clip.
Okay.
And when I first heard it, I first thought it was an owl. And I played it over, and then I started looking for owl calls. I couldn't find anything like it. And I actually ended up reaching out to Chris Sutton. And he agreed. At first, he's like, no, it's an owl. But then we both looked into it together. And he's like, no, you're right. This is not. It's a really strange call. And I'll have to share the clip with you.
Yeah, no, I'd love to check it out.
I mean, if you could find an owl call that matches this noise, I would definitely accept it. Yeah. But I could not, and I searched for hours.
Yeah. So, speaking of Chris, when I had interviewed him for Shadow Mission season 1, and he had passed away about a year and a half ago, so we never got to do anything together for season 2. But I had in my interview with him from season 1, he just off the cuff started talking about Hinsdale House. Yeah. So, I had that interview footage, and I haven't included that there in episode 1 of season 1, and we've given him a nice little tribute in that episode when it comes out.
Nice. I was actually going to do a little plug for his book. I can't find it right away, but you guys go check out his book. He was. I hate to talk about people in past tense. He's an amazing guy, and just all around amazing. I didn't get to we were supposed to go investigate too, and I was really looking forward to get to know him a lot better, and unfortunately it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But the little bit that I did work with him, he was always just so easy to work with. He came on our show, and that's kind of what started us to have a little bit of a friendship. And it's just, but yeah, and I loved that he's just so informative again. And it's just, that's why I wanted to bring him up again, because he was on the shadow dimension. And
yeah, he was. And in fact, in that last season, or that last episode of season 1, when you see him, wave goodbye and walk out the door, that is the last moment that I saw him.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So every time I see that part of the episode,
Wow.
It hits me. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know you guys were really close. So
yeah, well, I spent a couple of years there in Illinois, so I had a chance to work with him a number of times, and so yeah, we struck up a pretty nice friendship. And we discovered, throughout that friendship, like, we were both sports fans, and we both liked the same music and stuff like that. So yeah, we could talk baseball and music, and yeah,
definitely. Now, with that, I'm sorry, guys. You have, like you said, you are going to Egypt here in a couple of weeks, and you're going to be doing tours.
Less than a week.
It is less than a week.
Yeah.
I had a thing for it. I thought I did. But,
well, the official start date is the 7th for the tour, but I'm leaving Saturday. So
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you're going to be going there, and do you guys do like investigations, or is it like a tour? Like,
I mean, it's a tour, but we get some locations like the Great Pyramid just to ourselves for 2 hours, and so like when we did that, we kind of have the run of the place. There's only like a handful of rooms, so you can't go too far, but a lot of people were hanging out in the King's Chamber, and we're doing you had people like doing breath work. There were people that were meditating there. I was getting readings off of the pyramid itself, and also the coffer that's there in the King's Chamber, because I had read that the pyramid is tuned to the key of F sharp, which is the same key that the planet is tuned to, and that the coffer inside was tuned to the key of A. So I brought with me tuning forks and a chromatic tuner, and we tested that out, and sure enough, boom, yeah, it came right up. So the only thing that we couldn't do, because some people had gadgets, dowsing rods, stuff like that, it did not let us film anything like that in there. It's like you could film, but you couldn't film you doing like investigative stuff in there. They're really, really kind of touchy about that. Yeah. You had to have like an official, what are they called? But basically official permission to do research within the pyramid. Yeah. So that would be deemed,
wow.
Got the tuner, got the I got the tri-field meter, all that stuff, and they're like, you can use it, but you can't film it. So,
wow, that is so cool. That's so cool that you get to do that. If people want to go and be a part of these tours, how can people find it? Is it too late to get tickets? I'm assuming it is now for this trip.
For this one, well, yeah, I mean, technically, if you really wanted to join us, you could technically still register for it. We had 2 people that had to back out there at the last minute because she had a nasty spill, and so they pushed their tour till next year with us. But those 2 spots opened up, and it was like really last minute. So technically, yeah, you could sign up and fill those 2 spots that are there. The trick right now is going to be getting a plane ticket in time that will not be outrageously priced.
That is
But you could if you really wanted to.
I wanted to go really badly, and we talked about it, and I had money set aside for it.
Oh wow!
But then my son made it to travel baseball, And
That's awesome.
yeah, I mean, I'm not so. The money went elsewhere, and so yeah.
Well, we're doing it again next year. It looks like it'll probably be around the April timeframe rather than February. That's when Muhammad and I were, first started talking about it again. It's like, oh, so how about April this time? Okay. And he has other tours that he does all throughout the year. So I'm sure there's already something he has set up for next year at this time, which is why he suggested April. But yeah, so be on the lookout. Best thing you could do. Well, a couple different things. I mean, pay attention to my website. I have the event page there. I have the tours page there. So keep an eye on those. Sign up for my newsletter, because anytime that there's an announcement with that, I send that out. Plus, I always keep the event stuff there within the newsletter. And then, of course, I'm always posting stuff on social media about those sorts of things. So, yeah.
So we're thinking April-ish of 2024?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice.
So you too, Brian, come on along.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian.
Shawn and I will have to plan it out. So what do the tours consist of?
Oh, wow. I mean, a lot. We pack a lot in there. So, obviously the Pyramid Sphinx, all that sort of stuff. With Muhammad, like I said, because he knows people, he's able to get us into a lot of different. We lose Shawn?
Oh, that's okay. He'll be right back.
All right. He's able to get us into a lot of the more off limits places. But we had like a lot of the different temples, like Abydos that has, the symbols, the hieroglyphs that look like modern machinery and all that. But it's a lot more than just that, because they have one of the most extensive kings lists there. Some of the stargates are there. The Osirian is right in the back, which people still are debating what in the heck the Osirian was. This particular trip, we get a 4-day Nile cruise. The one that I did a year and a half ago was a 7-day Nile cruise. And so basically what you're doing is you're taking a cruise up and down the Nile River, and you're hitting like all the different temples and everything along the way. Of course, the Valley of the Kings. And, with this being the 100th anniversary of the discovery of King Tut's tomb, that's amazing. The actual official date was November 5th. But they didn't, I guess, officially. Well, they got into the tomb, had been doing all the removal of the treasures out of the antechamber, and then they finally broke through into the burial chamber with the shrine in February. So we'll be there kind of right at the 100th anniversary of that, which is very cool. So yeah.
So I mean, that's going to be busy. That's going to be a big thing that they're going to make it.
Oh, it will be. Yeah, it's definitely been a big thing. Yeah, when we were there a year and a half ago, you couldn't even get into King Tut's tomb at that time because they were doing some restorative work, gearing up for
the 100th.
The 100th, yeah. So this time we'll be able to get in there. But yeah, you're right. It might be a little busier.
Insane, though. That's imagine. I think it will be more busy, but imagine the kind of celebrations and everything they're going to have. I think it's going to be very special.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely will. So I'm really excited that we'll get to experience that for sure.
That's incredible. I love how much you've branched out with your branding and then with all these trips you're getting to do. Now, you also have events coming. And I know there was a comment, I need to drink tea. You know what? I've been drinking tea for days. So it just is what it is at this point. So,
yeah.
But so sorry about my voice, guys, again. You have other events coming though, and when you give your presentations, I'm assuming at the Parapsychon, you're going to be back there. Will you be presenting again?
Yeah, I'll be presenting again. This year I'll be presenting on the Alaska Triangle, nice. Which I was supposed to last year, but then when Andrea came on board, they didn't have a spot for her. They wanted her there, and they wanted to give her a speaking spot. So since I have known Andrea forever, they asked, do you want to do something together with Andrea? And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fantastic. So I shelved the whole Alaska Triangle thing, and we talked a lot about just consciousness. It was a really, really interesting conversation that we had. And I've posted that on my YouTube channel. So if people want to check out that presentation from last year with Andrea, they can just go to the Mike Ricksecker YouTube channel and check that out. So that was a really good discussion. So, but this year it'll be Alaska Triangle there. And then in June, I have my own event. There we go. Connecting the Universe, the event. So, like you said, Shawn, I've been branching out into a lot of areas, and that's because I believe all of this different phenomenon is connected. Everything across the universe is connected. So, so all these things that people are experiencing are related to each other some way, shape, or form. And so that's the kind of the crux behind my Connected Universe Portal learning site. And the weekly class that we do, Connecting the Universe, which is also a podcast. It's kind of taking that idea and creating a whole event out of it. So we'll have several presentations. There'll be a film presentation. We'll have a nice meet and greet, some snacks, all that sort of stuff. And that's at the Bell Mansion in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
That one, I will be there unless my son has a tournament.
Right. Totally get that. No, I'm proud of your son. That's awesome. That's a big deal. I used to play baseball when I was in school. So I lettered in high school. So no, I definitely appreciate that.
That's what he wants to do. And he's now going to private school. So it's going to take a lot of work for him to letter for baseball. There's a lot of competition for that. So this will get him on the road for it. And I mean, he's got the talent, he's got the heart, he wants it. And so now we just gotta help him reach that and best that we can. So it's been a big focus for us lately. So
that's awesome.
But I mean, this event, it's gonna be, man, as soon as you sent me the invite for this, I was like, oh, I need to figure this one out. But of course, that's getting towards the end of the season there. So we'll see.
Right. I hope you can.
We've got only the schedule for tournaments so far this year. So we don't know the regular games yet. But as soon as I have that, I'll definitely be able to plan more.
Sounds good.
And there's another event you wanted to bring up, and I don't have that one.
There's the Sail with Spirit cruise that is in September. So that's a cruise up into the Alaska Triangle. Doesn't go all the way up to Anchorage, but it goes, basically the route that this thing follows is the route that the Princess Sophia traveled back in 1918 is when the Princess Sophia sunk. But basically it's, from Seattle, hits Juneau, goes all the way up to Skagway, which was that route. And it was an unfortunate tragedy, but yeah, it's a Sail with Spirit cruise. So I'm one of many special guests on that. I will, of course, be talking about the Alaska Triangle on that, since that's where we're going to. But you have like a lot of healers and mediums, Reiki specialists, and things like that on this trip. So that's going to be great.
That's awesome. That's so cool you get to do all that stuff. Guys, just so you know, I don't know if anyone's paying attention to the comments that I'm putting here, but I did put a link to Mike's YouTube channel. Mike's website is on here. And at the very beginning of the show, I put a link to his Amazon page. And that link, just follow him on Amazon. I'll tell you what, he has so much good literature. I have several of his books here. And it's definitely all well worth the time and the read. So follow him so you can find... I know you can set alerts and everything when authors come up with new books and everything, and so make sure to follow him because he's got a lot of good stuff, and it's worth it for sure. So Brian,
yes,
are you ready?
Yes.
Am I ready? I don't know.
Yes.
All right, you're gonna have to just do it. I can't find the clip again, so we're just gonna do this. All right, guys.
Get excited, Mike. It is time for the special mini edition of the Into the Abyss podcast section, where we give you 5 fast fire questions, and you got to answer them as quickly and as thoroughly as possible.
Instead of, you said it was the regular was 13, huh?
Correct.
Yep. We don't do 13, but
We
because
could have done 13.
You want to do 13?
We could do 13 if that's your thing. We could do that. It'd be fun.
All right.
So it's okay
Go
if we
ahead.
go over a little.
It's supposed to be fast fire. So yeah.
It's gonna be fast
All right.
fire. It's all good.
All right. Then here
All
we
right.
go.
Load them up.
All eyes on you, brother.
All right.
All right, Mike. I'm gonna give you number 1 and number 13 as a reference point, and I'm gonna come up with 7 on the spot. Okay, ready? Number 1. What is your favorite part of Egypt?
Oh my God. So far the Great Pyramid, but yeah, Abydos is a close second.
Okay,
And really,
what is-
and I'll say this: the people, the people are really fantastic.
what is something that is special about shadow figures that people don't know and that interests you?
The aspect that some of these are time slips, that we could actually be witnessing another moment in time, and I've actually collected stories in which a young gentleman had discerned and figured out that he had actually witnessed himself at 2 different moments in time, and they came off the shadows.
Oh wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
When you're doing these podcasts, what's the most interesting thing that you find when you're interviewing all these different people? Can you name a very interesting experience you have, when you're talking to all these different people?
Being interviewed or being the interviewer?
But both.
I mean, as the interviewer, I really enjoy getting all the different perspectives from other people. There's a lot of different ideas out there, and it really makes you think of, oh, I hadn't thought of that perspective before. So, kind of helps me with my research, because somebody could make a point that's like, next time I look up or do that research or go to a location like that, I'm gonna try that out, or I'm gonna look into that particular aspect there. As the interviewee, it's kind of like questions like this where I get kind of thrown for a loop with a question or something that's a little bit different that I'm not used to, because I'll get a lot of the same questions over and over again. So it's when I get some of the different ones that I'm not usually asked that are fun.
I got you. Now, some investigators, especially starting out in their first, second, third year, they're just focused on ghosts and whatnot. But then you get introduced to idea of time and rips in time. And how do you explain that to someone, like in a way that they can understand and kind of open their eyes to this whole genre of time slips, time travel?
I try to use visual aids. So when I introduce my my stack time theory, I'll use a stack of photographs and try to explain it that way. I think visual aids will help.
That's crazy important. Now, a lot of people are trying to get into YouTube on the paranormal. They're trying to share their paranormal adventure. You're a huge success on there and on other platforms. What's your biggest tip that you can give someone who's trying to start to share their paranormal adventure on social media?
Consistency, very, very long-term consistency. It's the rare person that will become a sensation overnight on that, and those people that do basically got lucky. They had a video that went viral for whatever reason, and boom, all of a sudden they're there. But that is the exception rather than the norm, and people need to understand that you're going to have to do, stay to a consistent schedule, whether it's a video a week, a video every other week. And you're going to have to be doing it for a very long period of time. I've been doing YouTube for, 12 years now, right? And I'm sitting there at 21,000 subscribers. So, it's a nice sized channel, but I don't have 1 million subscribers on there. So it's very, very long term, a lot of work, but you have to stay consistent.
That's completely true. Something that hasn't stayed consistent is kind of like the different eras of the paranormal. Even way before TV and social media, there's been different eras of, discussions of the paranormal. And then you've got the whole big TV boom and whatnot. How would you describe this era of the paranormal? I feel like we've gotten outside of the TV ones where people are just looking at ghost hunters as something revolutionary. For 2023, what kind of era is the paranormal in right now?
I think it's in transition, and you've seen that, especially with the television. You've seen them, transition from, okay, we're just doing, ghost hunts at haunted locations, to now every location they go to needs to have a haunting, to, every location needs to have a demon, that sort of thing. So it always seems to go through these cycles. And now that we're done with demons, what else can we come up with? Is this where we start to get into other different aspects of of time travelers, integrating ETs into the paranormal? Again, I believe it's all connected anyway. Interdimensional beings, that sort of thing. So I think we're in a transition period right now. We'll see what that moves into.
Now, you are out there looking for, most of the time something of like greater power, but there's actually nothing greater of power than the Gilmore Wallet, and you're actually going to be sponsored by the Gilmore Wallet, and he's going to fly you anywhere in the world that you have not been yet to conduct your studies. Where is Shawn going to take you?
Well, I was going to say the Paris catacombs, but I'm actually a week from today. We'll be doing the Paris catacombs just before landing in Cairo. So that's a stopover that we're doing. From there, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey.
That's so awesome. Hey, Shawn, are you there?
I'm totally jealous. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you pull up the poster of Mike, with like the big shot of him
for the event? Or
yeah. And now, Mike, you go and you study and you identify these different phenomena, but can you describe kind of like the how-tos of the phenomena, which is taking a stunning photo like this? I mean, look at these photos. Every single poster that you have. How do you do it? That is a phenomena right there.
That would be Allie Cotton. She was the photographer.
Even this one, like you could point out Mike right there in
that's Allie Cotton's handiwork there. So she's a fantastic photographer. She if you go to Michigan Paracon, you'll see her walking around taking photos of everyone. But my manager, Linda, who also manages Brian Cano and Dustin Perry, she arranged for the three of us to have photos taken last year at Michigan Paracon. So we went around the side of the building there, and a nice stone wall, and Allie took those photos.
Gotcha. Always got to have a good team. There's a lot of questions obviously going around about the pyramids, laser precision, all this stuff. We need to hear it from the expert. Were the pyramids just constructed by humans, or was there some kind of aid?
Is Muhammad in the house? Muhammad, where are you? You said expert, so
you are the expert tonight, my friend.
The pyramids. That's one of the wonderfully amazing things about our ancient history is that to this day we still really don't know how they built them. There's guesswork that's done. There's a mainstream narrative that's out there that more and more and more as we dig up information, we have to pass that by the wayside because it just doesn't add up. So how did they actually build these? We don't really know. And I think that's one of those things that over the years, as we dig more into the ancient history, that we might get some answers for. But it seems like every time we figure out one answer, we get 20 more questions. So.
Yeah. Now, this is like choosing between your kids here, but like you've been all over the world, you've been to all these different places. What's the most like haunted location that you've ever been to?
I have some favorites that I really like. So I always say like my favorite haunted house is Stone Lion Inn, Guthrie, Oklahoma. Favorite haunted historic location is Mineral Springs Hotel, Alton, Illinois. It's hard to say which place is the most haunted because you can walk into a place and have all kinds of things going on one day and then walk in there 5 more times and nothing happens. So
totally true.
Yeah. And I've had that happen at both of those places.
Mm-hmm. Now a place that's actually interesting is right behind you. You've got so many cool different, I don't know if that's just books or DVDs. I mean, the cool light show and everything. What's the most impactful item that you have behind you?
Picture of my kids back there.
That is so phenomenal. I love that. And for number 13, speaking of phenomenal, over the years you've garnered such a beautiful, wonderful community. If you could just give one message to all the people that have been with you throughout the years, and the people that are going to join you as you continue to grow this community that you have, what message would you give them?
Thank you. I mean, it's been a long journey, and there's, so many people along the way that have, either helped out, shared a story that gave me some sort of insight, that's, been supportive, bought books, all of that. I mean, it would always be a passion of mine anyway. And, I could be, writing all this stuff down that nobody reads. But the fact is, you guys do. And I absolutely appreciate that. And it's, it's heartwarming and humbling for me, the amount of support that I've been given over the years, and it helps so that I can continue to do all of this and discover more things and, give back more to you guys. So no, it's just a massive thank you.
I love that, Mike. All right, you have officially survived the Into the Abyss section. That was supposed to be 5 questions. It was more of an Into the Abyss for me. But yes.
We lost Sean's volume.
Unmute, Sean. I got you. I do the same thing, Sean. I do the same thing. Like if you're coughing and stuff.
Dude. And like with this,
I get it.
Next show, guys, I'll be better. Sorry. But no, I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry we went over, but I appreciate it.
No, you did good.
Yeah.
Real quick, and we're at the top of the hour. I just wanted to say this to kind of just feed off of your thank you to everyone. I remember when I first met you because I was a guest on your show for Ectovision.
Yeah.
And ever since, I was just like so impressed by everything. I followed your content ever since, and it's got to be close to a decade now.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I just want everyone to know, go check out his content, go rewatch his stuff. I'm telling you, like, there's so much stuff out there for the paranormal, but there's so little good, informative content out there. If that's what you're looking for, you want to learn something new, hear something new, check out Haunted Road Media and check out Mike Ricksecker's stuff. I'm telling you, you guys will not be disappointed.
Well, thank you, Sean.
No problem. Now, I saw you post today a thing of wine. You had the Haunted Road roast. Is there going to be a Haunted Road Moscato?
Well, I've been making my own wine for a long time. The thing is without a license, I can't sell it, but I give it as gifts to people.
Nice.
Or we can always work something out. Like, oh, you bought one of my books for $30, and I gave you a thing of wine to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
As a thank you. So, but
always
yeah,
I'm not,
without a actual liquor license, I'm not supposed to sell it, but I do. Yeah, it's a hobby of mine. I enjoy making wine. My dad got me into it about 15 years ago.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Do you have a name for the wines that you make?
Yeah, so it's Ricksecker Vineyards. So I pulled that out of Tolkien. When Bilbo's like, I pulled out whatever vintage from the old vineyard. So, I like that. And so like the Zinfandel I made a couple years ago was Zin, Z-E-N, Findel. And so when after I'd made that and I went to Mineral Springs Hotel in Alton, my friends there, Dave and Donna Nunnally, run the It's Raining Zen shop there. It's a fantastic metaphysical shop. And so I made a couple of special labels for them, gave them a couple bottles of It's Raining Zinfandel, Z-E-N.
They had to have loved that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they loved it.
That's awesome. Well, Mike, real quick, I mean, I know you got to get going. Mm-hmm. Is there any last minute plugs you want to do real quick? How can people find your events? How can people find you? The best thing.
Yeah, MikeRicksecker.com. That's my official website, and get a lot of great information there. Sign up for the newsletter. That's, how I try to keep everybody in the loop of the different events and things that are going on. Connect to Universe Portals, the online learning platform. That's where we do the weekly classes and a whole bunch of other information that's back there. I've got like all the travel blogs there, vlogs, because they're videos. Behind the scenes, sneak peek videos, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of articles and everything. So definitely check that out. And then, with the upcoming tours and events, please join.
Nice.
Yeah, and if you're ever, go ahead.
I was gonna say, this book is like one of my favorites in the paranormal. You might even see my name in there.
Yeah, he's in it.
But man, this is.
Oh, and Shadow Dimension. Yes, check out the Shadow Dimension on Tubi TV and the Roku channel. Season 1 is streaming now. Season 2 will be released later this year, and Shawn is a part of Season 2,
which I'm excited for. Awesome. So cool.
Yeah, and if you guys ever question like, is Mike this genuine and awesome outside of his content? I think we met like 5 or 6 years ago at OSR, and we did Hinsdale, and it was you are just as kind and genuine and amazing person as you portray yourself and you hold yourself and all the content. So anytime there's an opportunity to see him at these Paracons, Parapsycons, going to Egypt and everything, going on these tours, you're still going to get the same genuine and original Mike, because he is how he portrays himself. He's not fake, and he's amazing. So
thank you, I appreciate that.
No, seriously, and thank you so much for the hour here. Thank you for the answers and just being you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you guys. I always enjoy coming on your show. We have a good time.
Definitely. We got to set up a time to investigate again. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's been a while. Definitely been too long.
Yeah,
so
we'll figure it out. Bring that up on air, because now we got to stick to it.
Yeah, there you go. Hold me to it now. All right.
Definitely.
Have a good night, guys.
Hey, you guys have a great night. Guys, I'm just going to go. We have to do a word from our sponsor, then I'll do our outro. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in tonight for our special show. I hope everyone has a great week. And, guys, we don't have another show until after the Super Bowl. February is my birthday month. It's crazy busy, and I'm not competing with the Super Bowl, guys. So our next show is the Sunday after the Super Bowl. I believe that's the 19th. All right, guys. So thank you so much. Everyone have a great week. Everyone stay healthy. Don't be like me. And thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, and thank you, Mike.
And thank you.
If you can dream it, you can stream it. With a full production studio at your fingertips.
Presto! Watch me how I do it now. Presto! Presto!
Connect up to 9 iOS devices and edit live.
Presto!
With multiple camera angles and professional graphics.
Got all eyes on me, everybody talking whoa. Cause everything I do, I got them saying whoa.
Interact with your viewers and show live comments. And invite remote guests from all over the world.
Spinning around, dropping it low. Ooh la la, ooh la, ta-da, presto. Here's what I got, ready or not.
Share it everywhere.
How I do it now. Presto! That's how I do it. Presto.
Even sell live. Shopify users can integrate their collections and use Carter to sell products during their Facebook Lives.
I make it look so easy just like that, presto. I got you buzzing, feeling this and saying whoa.
All on iPhones and iPads.
Presto.
Try your free trial at switcherstudio.com today.
Man, that thing had some serious bass.
Yes, Shawn.
This is our paranormal podcast because this is our paranormal community, and we want to support you here on RU Media Network. We are proud to be sponsored by the Haunted Hinsdale House in Hinsdale, New York. Here are your hosts, Brian Mersall and Sean Gilmore.